Yeah.
You want to hear one of the most profound things I ever heard?
Yeah.
With no meat on the bone, the late great Charlie Murphy. There was
What'd he
something that
say?
went down, and he had to like take it. I said, "You're not going to do, you know." No, he did something about it. And then he got in trouble. This when he was younger. And he goes, "You know what I learned on that day," or something like that. I said, "What?" He said, "Bitches run the world." He said, "The world is run by bitches."
Wow.
Meaning, most of those guys that are making us all, miserable and all of that couldn't fight their way out of a fucking wet paper bag. They never had to. But they have all this money and power, so they got all these people to fight their fights for them. And then Charlie Murphy, you know, is looking at himself where like he could have fucked any of them up, but he doesn't have their juice. So then a guy like him, he was a fucking warrior, man. I saw him one time at the fucking Tempe Improv get into it with this guy where they were just talking about martial arts and whose style was better. And Charlie was just going like, "I'm telling you, man, my style's. I've fought against guys like you. You're not going to get me." The kid was like, "All right, let's go." And they were just fucking twisting each other. And Charlie was looking over at me, smiling, just handling the dude. And like Charlie at that point was, like late 40s, and this kid was like in his 20s. He was still, full of piss and vinegar, and he had no problem with them whatsoever.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
man.
that's awesome.
I've lost a lot of friends, and with that, out of all the friends that I think of, that guy, I think about him and the stuff that he said a lot, a lot. I really miss that guy, man. Um, that was one of the coolest things ever, man. I ran into someone one time that also knew him. I was just like, yeah, I knew Charlie. He goes, "Oh yeah, Charlie loved you. I knew Charlie really well. It made me feel good that he had positive things to say about me, man. Because that fucking guy, Jesus Christ,
He had a
that
smile, man. He had a
the,
he
the
had a
fucking stories he had. Those Charlie Murphy true Hollywood stories, dude. He had me crying, laughing. I can't say the names. It's his story. I wasn't there, but he was talking about how he was at a party one time and there was the current boxing champion there of some weight class. And he was drunk and he was telling everybody there that he could throw 4 punches in under a second this close to your rib cage and he wouldn't hit you. And he kept hitting guys because he was drunk, and they'd be like, "Oh," and they'd like fucking go down, and then he would go, you moved, right?" And they weren't moving; they was just hammered. So I was going like, "Why were people doing that?" And he was going like, "I don't know." The way he told the story, it was just basically a bunch of goofy white guys who wanted to fucking get in good with this guy. So they were literally to a fucking boxing champion, were going like this, and he put his head in there, yeah, 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 yeah. And the last one, fucking cracked their ribs and these guys were folding.
oh
And then
oh
he would
my
just be like, "Oh, you moved, man. And he couldn't tell if he was fucking with them or whatever, but he said he was in the kitchen because he didn't want, he goes, "I don't want to be near that motherfucker. He was drunk. He's crazy." He goes, "That's the champ. I don't want to be near him." So Charlie had like a respect for him, but he also saw the show and the story. So he was like standing in the doorway, peeking in, watching these white guys in their fucking, button down shirts like me getting folded over by
oh man, that's great.
He had that one. He had an OJ story. Dude, he had some fucking stories of like, it was such a specific era. The people, when he would tell those stories of who was there, dude, he would tell stories and it would be like, it was like me, Eddie, the second lead on Knight Rider and fucking the guy from Hardcastle McCormick. It was just like, I was like, "What? You guys all, yeah." He
That's
goes, "That was a
great.
big show, man. That guy had a big show."
That's
And there would
great.
just be this shit that they were doing. And there was like no cell phone cameras or anything. And it was such a small puddle too, dude, as far as who was famous. So if you got there, dude, the fucking money was nuts. Was fucking nuts. Well, now I feel like it's bursted into like a billion slices of pie. And there's only a few that are getting like, like the big thing. Like there was guy like back in the day, a performer could make like, wouldn't make Bezos level money, but he would go out and buy that fucking yacht and go broke. That go out and buy a $200 million yacht and have all his boys on it and shit. And there'd be all this wild shit that happened. And now I don't know, you can't fucking do it. Maybe that's where you got to go now. You got to go out to sea. Dude, if you get that boat, man, I'm in.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And the reservoir here is good, but you got to get all kinds of shit now. You got to get like it's not just a license and a permit. You got to get a water access thing, because especially this is this reservoir is the cleanest. This reservoir supplies New York with a ton of its drinking water. So I got to get all these permits and stuff. But dude, when we do, it's so beautiful, man. It's around the mountains too, dude. It's in there. It's beautiful. We'll definitely do it when you come up. You know what's amazing about a guy like Charlie Murphy, rest his soul? There are certain people you feel their presence. Like I remember I ran into that guy at Stand Up New York, and he was on stage doing a joke. And I said something to him after, just a big smile, and just like, but you felt the dude. Like certain people you fucking feel when they're there, man. Like it's amazing.
The only other guy who had a vibe like him that I was ever around was Lawrence Taylor. When I did Inside the NFL, I can't like describe what his vibe was like, and he was oblivious to it. As far as like, he was just being himself. It wasn't like, hey man, I'm Lawrence Taylor, I need to turn it on. He was just like, I saw him like literally just like looking at it, like his phone or whatever, and people were just drawn to him. And it's beyond, that's Lawrence Taylor. He had like that thing. Charlie had that, where it was like, he came in the room, you sensed he was in the room. He had that fucking laugh. And then also he was a fun guy. And he was a fucking like guy's guy. And the dude was a warrior too. And like, it's just one of those, you can just feel like, I'm not fucking with that guy. I wish I was like that guy. I wish I could handle somebody the way that, I mean, he was like a fucking, he was hilarious, dude. And then he was also like really like inquisitive, like really, like
how so?
Listen. Well, if he met somebody, you just like, he would get into shit that you wouldn't think he would get into. You know what I mean? Which I think is the artist brain, where a lot of people, it's kind of like, hey, I'm from here. This is how you do things. And you kind of stay in that world. And that's how you kind of become like a character in a way, where like, I feel like other people that have more of a seeker brain or like an artistic brain, all of a sudden, like, I'll tell you, somebody who I love who reached out to me. I posted some pictures because I went to that Poison, Motley Crue, Joan Jett, and Def Leppard, and I got a text from Lunel going, hey, next time you go to some shit like that, let me know. I was like, you like Poison and Motley Crue? She goes, oh, that was my shit. And I was just, I never in a million years would have guessed that you knew any of that shit. She goes, nah, every rose has its thorn. That was my shit. Like, I had no idea. So that's for me, like going on the road or whatever. If I'm hanging out with people, I like hanging out with people like that, where there's like, and he was like that, where it was just like he would like know about shit or be into shit that you never thought he would be into. And then the other shit that you'd think you'd be into, he knew all the way down to like bedrock. Like like when he talked about martial arts and he talked about guys, dude, man, he could do 20 minutes on those martial arts magazines, because he used to read them when he was a kid, and he used to always laughing at the guy getting his ass kicked on the cover. He'd get me cracking up about that. But then like me listening to him reminded me of like, he's into these martial artists the way I was into metal bands, and I used to read Hit Parader. So those karate magazines were like his Hit Parader, because he was like, man, I still got those things. Like I'm somewhere in the house or something like that. And I don't know. I like talking about him because I don't want that shit to fade, because it was coming up on 20 years ago we did that tour.
No, this is great. In Delirious, when that woman yelled out, you just hear, "Shut up, bitch." That's Charlie. And that's why Eddie laughed. So you knew that, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. So
during Delirious, that's why Eddie just laughed. And actually, during the taping, it's on the special, a woman yelled something out like, and instantaneous, you hear, "Shut up, bitch." And it was Charlie. And Eddie fucking just dropped the mic and started walking around because he was so protective of him. And I was like, that's Charlie.
I always thought he was laughing at what the woman said, because he said, "I didn't bet y'all didn't think I could throw my voice." He was talking about what Charlie was saying.
When she said it, listen again.
Yeah.
Right after she says it, you hear, "Shut up, bitch," and it's Charlie.
Well, Charlie told me stories about doing security on his tour, and then when Eddie came back and was in I think it was in Raw, when he was talking about getting sued and they act like he beat up the whole bar.
Yeah.
And then years later, I worked with Charlie and was saying, "Yeah, my brother had to let me go because I got too aggressive." I always wondered, and I can't confirm that if he was talking about
that.
But he used to say, he said, "Yeah, man, if we walking down the street and someone, 'Yo, Eddie, you ain't funny,' he goes, I go and fuck him up."
That's so
I go, "You what?" He's like, "Yeah. You're fucking talking about my brother like that." I mean, it was like really like, it was hilarious, dude. Like that guy, I'm telling you, man, like that
Bill,
guy
how
was
old?
that guy, I'm telling you, was a New York legend. Like if somebody ever did a mural, they got, and all the New York legends, you got to put him in there. And his funeral, dude, was incredible. He got the New York legend send off that he deserved. And it was an honor to be there. Like I was just sitting there like, I've been to, unfortunately, a lot of funerals, and that one was, his funeral was like his friends sent him off right. I'll tell you that.
That's amazing and great to hear. Bill, how old was he when he started stand-up? He started stand-up after Chappelle's show, right? Was he in his 40s when he started?
Late 40s. He was like 46 or 47. Well, I'm Rick James bitch thing, "I'm Charlie Murphy," that all fucking blew up. And then I think Donnell saw it and was like, "Dude, you should do stand-up. You and I will do a thing." And then they grabbed me, and it was like, he did 2 shows, 2 open mics, and we went out on the road, and he was billed as the headliner. And it was really, he would do like 10 minutes. This is the first couple of gigs. He would do 10 minutes. He would host. And then I would go out, and then Donnell would close it. And Charlie was the guy who taught me that you can write an hour if you have to. But he started in June. By August, he could talk for 50 minutes. It wasn't great. It was his first 50 minutes. But then he learned how to do that.
That's incredible, dude.
No, he wrote like movies for Eddie. I think he wrote
Norbit, didn't he?
He wrote Norbit. I think he wrote Vampire in Brooklyn. And he was talking about one of those movies. I remember he was writing it. They were out in Hawaii, and he was talking about how his family was out there playing by the pool and everything, and he was just sitting there fucking writing this thing.
That was Norbit. They wrote Norbit in Hawaii. Because I'm an Eddie, you know me, I love Eddie. So yeah, he wrote that there. Shit was hilarious, by the way.
Well, I remember we were supposed to do the Improv. No, we were supposed to do Hilarities in Cleveland, and then he dropped out at the last second because he had to go write that movie. And dude, like they wrote that movie in like 2 weeks. Like they had that thing ready to go, and then it was like the next year, I think, like they shot it or whatever. And he was, and Norbit was his idea. He was watching, there's a YouTube video, there's a famous YouTube video from way back in the day, big black woman, and there's a skinnier black dude, and he's trying to hit her. and she keeps putting her face out. And as he goes to swing, she'd pull it back and she'd hit him. And he fell for it every time. She kept sticking it out, pulling it back and hitting him, and then was dragging him across the street, hitting it. And I remember, I think this was, I can't remember, this is so long ago. If he had seen it first, or if I went to show it to him, and they'd already made Norbit. I feel like when I finally showed that to him, he said, yeah, he goes, that's where I got the idea for that movie. He goes, I saw that video and I was dying laughing, and I sent this to Eddie going, Eddie, this is a movie. You got to be this woman and this dude, like this guy who's scared shitless and his girlfriend beats the fuck out of him. He saw it and just was like, everybody else saw it and thought it was funny. He saw it and goes, this is a movie, and showed it to Eddie. And I guess Eddie was laughing. I feel like I'm really speaking out of school here because I don't remember how, this is my remembrance of it. This was a long time ago. So please don't.
No, that makes sense, dude. That makes sense. And I remember hearing that Eddie and his brother Charlie were writing that in Hawaii, because I remember seeing it. And there were some scenes and lines that were because when he played the nerdy Norbit, and he just would smile, like nobody did that better than him. I mean, it was the best, that's amazing. Well, rest in peace to Charlie.
Oh, we
Murphy.
still love that. What's that one Eddie did with Steve Martin? Where he's like, that was awesome.
Oh, oh my God, dude.
Bowfinger.
Bowfinger. Yeah.
Amazing.
Bowfinger. Anytime that movie's on, me and my wife just watch it.
My dad loves the scene where he's crying when he has to cross the street.
I actually always feel bad for him. Like, I don't want to do that anymore.
I mean, who's more talented? It's Eddie and Jamie Foxx. Am I crazy for saying those two are the top two?
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. And then I think after that, if you're trying to find anybody as talented as them, you have to get out of acting. You have to go to like a musician or I don't know what.
Yeah.
Like that's not like, guys like that come around, dude. Like one person like that comes around, I feel, every quarter of a century, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, trying to think like, I don't know, like Michael Jackson, James Brown, like guys like that, they just don't, I don't know. That's why, like with sports, if there's somebody that's like truly great, that's why I'm psyched. Like over the last like 25 years, every great baseball, football, hockey, basketball player, I went out and I saw them from Kobe to Ichiro to fucking, the Dan Marinos, and everybody's going to be shit on me for Dan Marino. You don't fucking get, guy had no running game and no defense. That guy threw for 5,000 fucking yards when you could beat the shit out of receivers
and quarterbacks,
clothesline people, and all kinds of shit. And that guy threw for like 5,000 fucking yards, and 48 touchdowns when it meant something. When like the next closest guy had like 27 or 30.
I'm glad I saw Brady. I'm really glad I saw Brady. I really am. And I saw Brady in his prime, the year that he broke the record. I saw him, man. And I got to tell you something.
The best thing that happened for his legacy was he won in Tampa too. That shut everybody up. They'll never shut everybody up because there's always going to be haters. But like the greatest thing about that is it's just like, now what are you going to see? You can say he's a system quarterback.
Yeah, you can't.
He can't do it without Belichick. He just did.
Yep. Well, listen, I got to go get my little boy from little boy. He's getting older. I've got to go get Lucas from practice. Dude, what a great episode, man. Such a great.
You're going to be a grandfather with a boat on a fucking lake. Are you kidding me? You won. All you got to get is one of those grandpa hats. It's the best.
Oh, dude, I'm going to be a grandpa on a boat with a cigar. I'll put my dog on the fucking boat. You think I give a fuck?
I'll tell you one thing I don't understand. I just don't understand people who won't be their fucking age. Oh, it's the internet, this obsession with trying to look younger than you are. Who gives a fuck? You got to be that age. Now you're this age.
Yep. Yeah.
Dude, someday I'm 54 years old. When I'm fucking 64, I'm going to be like, I wish I was 54. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Fucking enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
All right. That's it.